The Galactic Research Station Prometheus had been orbiting the black hole designated KX7749 for exactly 3 standard cycles, and in that time, Commander Rek had never once relaxed. Which, for a Krillian, was perfectly normal. Krillians didn't do relaxed. They did vigilant, paranoid, and occasionally deeply concerned. Right now, Rek was speed-running all 3. "Commander, we have an incoming vessel requesting docking permission," announced Pilot Koro, his bleen tentacles twitching nervously at his console. Everything made Koro nervous. The other day, a particularly aggressive dust particle had sent him into a 15-minute spiral about hull integrity. Identification? Rek's mandibles clicked with bureaucratic precision. Human vessel, registration Wanderer 7. They say there, and I quote, "Just passing through and heard we had a nice view." Dr. Nexus, the station's chief astrophysicist, dropped his datapad. For a Zethian, whose species had survived 4 extinction-level events through sheer paranoia alone, this was basically a scream of horror. "A nice view? A nice view? We are orbiting a Class 5 black hole with an event horizon spanning 12 million kilometers. The tidal forces alone could spaghettify a reinforced hull at 300,000 clicks. The gravitational lensing creates visual distortions that have driven lesser species mad. The Hawking radiation output requires our shields to operate at maximum capacity continuously. This is not a view. This is a cosmic death trap that we are studying from what I insist is still not a safe distance." "So that's a no on the docking permission?" Koro asked hopefully. "Clear them for Bay 3. Rek sighed. "Humans have diplomatic immunity under the Treaty of Proxima. Something about them discovering warp drive by accident, while trying to make a faster pizza delivery system." 20 minutes later, Captain Jake Morrison strolled onto the research deck wearing a regulation EVA suit, unzipped to reveal a Hawaiian shirt decorated with surfboards and palm trees. He was carrying a sandwich. A sandwich on a research station orbiting a black hole. "Hey there, folks, awesome setup you got here." Jake took a bite of his sandwich and gazed out the observation window at the swirling accretion disk, where superheated matter screamed toward oblivion at a significant fraction of light speed. "Man, the brochures really undersold this place. That is one beautiful spinny thing." "Spinny thing," Dr. Nexus repeated faintly. He called it a spinny thing. "The black hole," Rek corrected, his translator struggling with the appropriate level of formality, "is a singularity of infinite density where the known laws of physics cease to function. It is not, and I cannot stress this enough, a spinny thing." "I mean, it is spinning though, right? That's what makes the disk all whooshy." Jake made a circular motion with his sandwich hand. A piece of lettuce drifted toward the floor. In the 3 cycles they'd been stationed here, nothing had ever fallen on this deck. It was cleaned by robotic systems every 6 hours with military precision. Now there was lettuce. Koro stared at the lettuce like it was a bomb. "Captain Morrison," Rek began, summoning every ounce of diplomatic training, "while we appreciate your interest in our research, this is an active scientific station with strict safety protocols. The viewing gallery is available for exactly 1 hour per cycle, and visitors must maintain a minimum distance of— Oh, I actually wanted to get closer. Like way closer. Can we take one of those pod things for a spin? No pun intended. Actually, totally pun intended." The silence that followed could have survived the vacuum of space. Dr. Nexus had prepared for many scenarios during his tenure at Prometheus Station. Equipment failure, orbital decay, a sudden unexpected increase in Hawking radiation, even in his darkest nightmares, a rogue asteroid strike. What he had not prepared for was a human asking if the black hole did tricks. "Tricks," Nexus said, his vocal sac inflating with stress. "You want to know if the infinitely dense gravitational singularity does tricks?" "Yeah, like pulsars do that flashy thing, right? And I saw this documentary about magnetars that said they can fry your ship's electronics from like 50 light years away. This bad boy must do something cool." Jake tapped the observation window. Tapped it. Like it was a fish tank. "It devours matter," Rek said slowly. "It devours light." It devours hope and sanity, and if we're not careful, this entire station. That is what it does. Right, but like from a safe distance. What does it do? Koro's tentacles had gone completely rigid. Sir, should I engage the emergency protocols? I feel like we should engage the emergency protocols. There is no protocol for this, Rek muttered, pulling up his data tablet. Nexus explained to the human why approaching the black hole is impossible. Impossible? Nexus's eyes literally began glowing with the passion of a scientist who'd been waiting his entire career to explain why something was a terrible idea. Impossible doesn't begin to cover it. Captain Morrison, do you understand what tidal forces are? Like ocean stuff? No. Not ocean stuff. Well, yes, but no. Tidal forces are the differential gravitational pull across an object. As you approach a black hole, the difference between the gravitational force on your feet versus your head becomes so extreme that you would literally be stretched into a stream of atoms. We call this spaghettification. Metal. It's not metal. It's horrifying. Furthermore, as you approach the event horizon, time dilation becomes so severe that from our perspective you would appear to slow down asymptotically, never quite reaching the boundary, while from your perspective, you'd cross it and be destroyed in microseconds. Additionally, the frame-dragging effect of the black hole's rotation would... So you're saying it's dangerous? I'm saying it's the most dangerous natural phenomenon in the known universe. Jake finished his sandwich and wiped his hands on his pants. Cool. So when can we head out? We cannot head out. We will not head out. The observation pods are for automated instrument deployment only. No living beings have ever piloted one closer than our current orbital distance, and no living being ever will, because that would be suicide with extra steps. I'll sign a waiver. A waiver? Freck's mandibles clacked in disbelief. You think this is about liability? I mean, yeah. Look, I get it. Your insurance probably doesn't cover humans doing stupid stuff. That's fair. We have a reputation. But I've got my own insurance, and honestly, my premiums are already maxed out from that thing with the plasma conduit on Rigel 7. Just point me at the paperwork. 47 digital waivers later, Commander Vrek realized he'd encountered something more stubborn than Krillian bureaucracy, human enthusiasm. Jake had signed everything. He'd signed releases indemnifying the station, the Galactic Research Council, the Krillian Empire, and somehow Vrek personally. He'd signed acknowledgments that he understood the risks, that he was operating against scientific advice, and that his death would be recorded as comically preventable. He'd signed one document that was literally just the equation for gravitational time dilation. He hadn't read a single word. There, all done. Now, about that pod? This is insane, Nexus whispered. He's going to die. Probably, Jake agreed cheerfully. But here's the thing. I called Admiral Rodriguez before I came over, she said, and I quote, Jake, you beautiful idiot. You got me out of that mess with the Orion pirates, so yes, I'll authorize whatever dumb thing you want to do this time. So I'm pretty sure I have clearance. Vrek checked his messages. There was indeed a transmission from Admiral Rodriguez of the Human Expeditionary Fleet. It contained 3 words. Sorry about Jake. Pilot Koro, Vrek said, in the tone of a person watching their career dissolve into Hawking radiation. Prepare Observation Pod 7 for manned deployment. Koro's tentacles trembled. Sir, I really don't think. Just do it. And update my resume. Observation Pod 7 was designed to carry delicate instruments to precise locations for data collection, then return them safely to the station. It was not designed for passengers. It especially was not designed for passengers who kept asking if they could crack a window for fresh air. There is no air in space, Koro explained for the 3rd time, his tentacles gripping the pilot controls with the desperation of someone who'd seen their life flash before their eyes and found it disappointingly boring. That's why it's called space. Right, but like a little bit wouldn't hurt, right? It would kill you instantly. You're probably right. Jake pressed his face against the pod's viewport as they descended toward the accretion disk. Dude, this is amazing. It's like a galaxy-sized drain. Does it make a sound? I bet it makes a sound. Sound cannot travel in a vacuum. Bet it would be a whoosh. Definitely a whoosh. Every sensor in the pod was screaming. Not figuratively. The Bleen had designed their warning systems to emit actual screams when approaching critical danger, believing that nothing communicated urgency quite like existential terror given voice. The pod sounded like it was being murdered. That's normal, right? Jake asked. No. Nothing about this is normal. The gravitational stress is approaching tolerance limits. The radiation shielding is at 93% capacity. We are violating 46 different safety regulations and what I'm pretty sure is a law of thermodynamics. Which one? I don't know. Probably all of them eventually. They were now close enough that the black hole dominated the viewport. A perfect circle of absolute darkness ringed by tortured light. The accretion disk blazed with the fury of matter meeting its doom, spiraling inward in hypnotic patterns that had driven the previous research team to take extended therapy leaves. Jake pulled out his phone and tried to take a picture. Aw man, no signal. Of course there's no signal. We're being affected by gravitational lensing, time dilation, and... Wait. Koro's tentacles suddenly stiffened. Captain Morrison, look at Sector 7 of the accretion disk. Do you see that? The bright flickery bits? Those aren't normal. The sensors are registering anomalous gravitational fluctuations, rhythmic ones. Back on the station, Dr. Nexus was having what could charitably be called a moment. Rhythmic gravitational fluctuations? That's impossible. Unless... No, that can't be right. Commander, I'm detecting a pattern in the radiation output. It's subtle, but it's definitely artificial. Artificial? Breck leaned over the console. Nothing artificial could survive that close to the event horizon. I'm telling you what the sensors are telling me. And the only reason we are detecting it now is because the humans somehow got us looking at the right place at the right time. In the pod, Jake was squinting at the accretion disk like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Hey Koro, those sparkly bits, they're not random, right? See how they pulse? It's like 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, pause, 1, 2, 3. It's like a pattern. You can see that with your naked eyes? Yeah, it's pretty obvious once you look. It was not obvious. It had not been obvious for 3 cycles of intensive study. But apparently, when you weren't paralyzed with the appropriate amount of fear, you could notice things. The pattern was there, repeating every 17.3 minutes, modulating the Hawking radiation in ways that should have been impossible. Captain Morrison, Koro said slowly, I think you just made a significant scientific discovery. Cool. Can we get closer to the sparkly bits? Absolutely not. Come on, just a little closer. For science. You don't even do science. I'm doing it right now. This is me doing science. Scientifically getting closer to the thing. Before Koro could protest further, Jake pointed. Wait, is that a structure? There's something in the disk. Something solid. And there was. Dr. Nexus was experiencing every scientist's dream and nightmare simultaneously. The dream. A discovery that would rewrite textbooks and possibly win him the Galactic Science Prize. The nightmare. That discovery was happening because a human had treated safety protocols like vague suggestions and somehow survived long enough to stumble into genius. Confirmed, Nexus announced, his voice cracking with a mixture of excitement and terror. There is a metallic structure orbiting at 0.97 event horizon radii. That should be impossible. Nothing we've built could withstand those gravitational forces. The tidal stresses alone should have torn it apart millennia ago. Maybe it's really well built, Jake offered over the comm. That's not how physics works. I mean, it's there though, so maybe physics is just like guidelines? Commander Vrek made a sound that the translator couldn't process. It was somewhere between a sigh and a scream. Captain Morrison, return to the station immediately. We need to analyze this data and formulate a proper research proposal. This will require coordination with the Galactic Science Council, multiple peer reviews, and approximately 6 cycles of committee meetings. Or, Jake said, and hear me out, we could just go grab it. Grab it. Yeah, you know, fly over there and grab it. Boom. Done. Science achieved. You want to grab an ancient alien artifact from the edge of a black hole's event horizon. I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds dangerous. It is dangerous, but like doable dangerous, right? Pilot Koro's tentacles had achieved a state of tension previously thought impossible by Bleen physiologists. Captain, even if we could approach the structure, which we cannot, extracting it would require precision gravitational calculations, probably a specialized tractor beam array, and multiple redundant safety systems. We'd need to form a task force, request specialized equipment, run simulations. This is a years-long project. Years? Dude, I've got a tractor beam on my ship. We can do this before lunch. Your ship is not rated for black hole operations. Technically true, but also I've done way dumber stuff and I'm still here. Dr. Nexus pulled up Jake's service record. It was terrifying. The human had somehow survived encounters that had killed entire crews of more advanced species. There was an incident involving a supernova, 3 separate listings for creative interpretation of navigation hazards, and a note that simply said, "Do not let him near quantum equipment." He's either incredibly lucky, or the universe has given up trying to kill him, Nexus muttered. I can hear you, Jake said. Also yes. Mostly the second one. So what do you say? Should I grab the space thing or not? No, Breck said. Hard no, Nexus added. Please no, Koro whimpered. Sweet, I'll take that as a yes. Koro, bring me back to the station. I need to prep the Wanderer. 20 minutes later, Jake was running pre-flight checks on his ship, while the entire research station watched in horrified fascination. His vessel was a Terran-modified cargo hauler that looked like someone had built a spacecraft out of spare parts and optimism. It had a tractor beam rated for asteroid mining. Asteroid mining, not retrieving artifacts from the literal edge of a black hole. Commander, Nexus said quietly. Should we stop him? How? Breck clicked his mandibles in resignation. He has authorization from a human admiral. He's signed enough waivers to build a fort out of paperwork, and honestly, I'm curious if he'll actually pull this off. You think he might succeed? I think humans once invaded a hostile planet because they were bored. I think they turned first contact with the Vrex into a competitive eating contest. I think they look at the universe and see a playground instead of a graveyard. So yes, I think he might succeed. And that's what terrifies me. Jake's voice crackled over the station's speakers. All right, folks. Wanderer is good to go. Koro, I'm gonna need you to talk me through the approach vector. Try to keep me at least, 6 feet away from instant death. 6 feet? 6 feet? Yeah, I need at least that much for the tractor beam to lock on. Physics, am I right? Koro made a sound like a deflating balloon. That's not... You don't... Fine. Fine. Approach vector transmitted. Please don't die. Please, please don't die. If you die, I'll have to file reports for cycles. Cool. Hey, somebody should probably record this, for posterity and stuff. Dr. Nexus was already recording everything. This was either going to be the greatest scientific achievement of his career, or the most expensive funeral video in galactic history. The Wanderer looked exactly like the kind of ship that should not be flying toward a black hole. It had mismatched hull plates, a paint job that suggested bulk discount, and engines that sounded like they were held together by sheer spite. Jake piloted it like he was parallel parking in a grocery store lot. Okay, I see the structure. Definitely alien. Looks kinda like a probe. Really old though, like ancient civilization old. Captain Morrison, the readings suggest that probe has been in stable orbit for approximately 40,000 cycles. Nexus reported, his voice shaking. It's composed of materials we don't recognize. It's withstanding radiation levels that should vaporize it. This is the most significant archaeological discovery in modern history. Neat, I'm gonna grab it now. Wait, we need to discuss grabbing it. Jake extended the Wanderer's tractor beam, which was designed to gently retrieve ore-rich asteroids from relatively safe locations. He was now using it to yank a priceless artifact from orbit around a cosmic destroyer, while gravitational forces tried to tear both ship and probe into their component atoms. The tractor beam locked on. Got it. This thing is heavier than it looks. Or space is being weird. Probably the space thing. You're experiencing gravitational distortion, Koro explained. his tentacles wrapped around his console so tightly they'd gone numb. The black hole's pull is fighting your tractor beam. You need to increase power and adjust for frame dragging, orbital velocity, and about 17 other factors that I'm too stressed to remember. Right, so more power. On it. Jake diverted power from life support to the tractor beam. Because of course he did. Slowly, impossibly, the ancient probe began to move. Alarms screamed. The Wanderer's hull groaned. Every physicist on the research station simultaneously calculated the probability of success, and came up with numbers so small they were essentially zero. The probe came free. Ha! Got it! This thing is awesome. There's like symbols on it and everything. Commander Vrek stood at his console watching a human accomplish in 15 minutes what should have taken a decade of planning. The probe was now being towed by a ship that should not work, piloted by a man who definitely should not work, away from a black hole that was probably offended by the entire situation. This violates 11 safety regulations, Rex said to no one in particular. 14, Nexus corrected, running scans of the probe, and possibly several laws of physics. But Commander, the data I'm receiving from that probe, it's extraordinary. It contains information about black hole mechanics that we've never even theorized. Energy extraction methods, gravitational manipulation. This is technology that could change everything. Of course it is, Vrek sighed, because the human who treats a black hole like a tourist attraction just revolutionized astrophysics. Jake's voice came through, slightly winded. Okay, bringing this bad boy back to the station. Also, minor note, I might have broken your tractor beam. It's making a funny noise. Everything you touch makes a funny noise, Koro muttered. Fair point. As the Wanderer docked with the probe in tow, the research station erupted in controlled chaos. Scientists from every species rushed to analyze the artifact. The data was incredible. The probe had been recording black hole behavior for 40 millennia, surviving conditions that should have destroyed it within seconds. It contained blueprints for technology that was beyond anything in the current galactic database. Dr. Nexus was practically vibrating with excitement. This probe was built by the predecessors, the civilization that existed before the current galactic cycle. We thought they were myths, but this is real. It's all real. And it's all because a human looked at a black hole and thought, nice view instead of imminent death, Vrek finished. Yes, I'm aware. I'm going to be aware for the rest of my life. This will be in my obituary. Jake emerged from his ship, somehow still eating a sandwich. A different sandwich. Where did he keep getting sandwiches? So that was fun. Same time next week? Next week? Nexus's eyes widened. Captain Morrison, analyzing this probe will take cycles, maybe decades. This is the archaeological find of the millennium. Cool. But while you're doing that, I was thinking we could check out the Neutron Star 2 systems over. I heard it's Spinny Thing's angry cousin. Probably does some wild stuff. Every alien in the room stared at him. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that, Vrek said finally. And you're going to pretend you didn't say it. And we're all going to appreciate that you somehow, against all probability and common sense, made today's disaster into a triumph. Does that mean I get a thank you? You get to leave alive. That's your thank you. I'll take it. 3 weeks later, the discovery of the predecessor probe was galactic news. The Galactic Science Council held emergency sessions. Universities across 40 star systems added new courses. Dr. Nexus received 6 prestigious awards, 3 research grants, and a book deal. Commander Vrek got a promotion and a commendation for exemplary crisis management, which he felt was generous given that his primary contribution had been not having a stress-induced stroke. Pilot Koro got therapy, lots of therapy. Jake got a coffee mug that said, I survived KX7749 and all I got was this lousy mug. He loved it. The ceremony was held on the Prometheus station itself, which had now become famous as the site of first contact with predecessor technology. Dignitaries from across the galaxy attended. There were speeches, so many speeches. Jake fell asleep during the third one and had to be nudged awake for his commendation. Captain Morrison, the council chairman announced, a dignified Valtorian whose species was known for their scholarly achievements. Your actions, while unorthodox and inadvisable, and please never do them again, have contributed immeasurably to galactic science. The council recognizes your bravery, your initiative, and your complete disregard for your own mortality. Thanks. The mug is sick. Yes. The mug. Indeed. The chairman looked like he wanted to say more but couldn't find the words. The probe you recovered has revealed secrets about gravitational manipulation, energy extraction from black holes, and faster-than-light travel that we never imagined possible. This changes everything. So you guys can come back for vacation photos later? I'm just saying the place has good bones. Nice view. Solid Wi-Fi once you get past the event horizon. There is no Wi-Fi past the event horizon, Dr. Nexus interjected, then caught himself. Sorry, still processing the trauma. After the ceremony, Commander Rek found Jake on the observation deck, naturally staring at the black hole with the same casual interest someone might give a sunset. Captain Morrison, I've been trying to understand something. Your species has been in space for barely 2 centuries. You lack the natural advantages of other species. No telepathy, no enhanced strength, no natural vacuum resistance. Yet somehow you succeed where others fail. Why? Jake thought about it for a moment. I think it's because we're too dumb to know we can't. That's not reassuring. Wasn't meant to be. Look, Commander, every species I've met looks at the universe and sees all the reasons why something won't work. You guys calculate the odds, run the simulations, form the committees, and that's great, that's smart. But sometimes, you just gotta not think about it and see what happens. That's called recklessness. I prefer optimistic experimentation. Frek's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Dr. Nexus has developed a theory about your species. He believes humans survived Earth because you're too ignorant to recognize danger properly. That tracks, yeah. He also believes that same trait makes you the most effective explorers in the galaxy, because you see possibilities where we see problems. Also tracks. It's infuriating. Sorry? Don't be. Just promise me something. The next time you want to explore something monumentally dangerous, give me advance warning. Enough time to update my will. Deal. Oh, speaking of which, about that neutron star I mentioned. No. Hear me out, though. I did some reading. Turns out they rotate like 700 times per second. That's gotta look amazing. It would also kill you with magnetic fields strong enough to disrupt your atomic structure. No. Probably. But imagine the photos. Commander Rek walked away. It was the most dignified retreat of his career. Pilot Koro, who'd been listening from his console, made a decision. He pulled off his regulation uniform jacket and beneath it revealed a Hawaiian shirt. It was covered in little pictures of spaceships and planets. He'd ordered it from the human sector of the galactic marketplace. Koro, Dr. Nexus said slowly. Why are you wearing that? I don't know anymore. Nothing makes sense. The human broke my understanding of physics and survival instincts. This is how I cope now. That's fair. 6 months later, the Galactic Cartography Council officially updated their star charts. The black hole formerly designated KX7749 received a new designation, as was customary for sites of significant discovery. The name was submitted by Commander Rek himself, in what he claimed was a moment of temporary insanity. The black hole was now officially named Jake's Nice View. Humanity's representative to the council sent a thank you message. It was a picture of Jake, floating in his EVA suit, giving a thumbs up in front of the accretion disk. The message said, "Thanks for the souvenir name. Already planning the gift shop." Dr. Nexus pinned the photo to his lab wall. Next to it, he added a handwritten note. Humanity's greatest survival trait, weaponized obliviousness. Further research required, possibly therapy also required. And somewhere in the galactic core at a research station orbiting a cosmic destroyer, an alien crew looked out at one of the universe's most terrifying phenomena and thought for the first time in 3 cycles that it really was kind of beautiful. When you weren't busy being terrified anyway. Jake Morrison, meanwhile, was already en route to the neutron star. He'd named his ship's new upgraded tractor beam the Grabinator. The galaxy was probably doomed, but at least it wouldn't be boring.